please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker and guest of honor, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, Maria Lourdes P.A. Sereno.
I am glad that Jfinex is trying to raise a generation of accountants, business people, entrepreneurs with a conscience and a heart.
How did you know about this forum?
So we were informed by our Dean Taz L. Bonilla that we were asked to join this forum.
Ano yung mga expectations niyo para sa forum na ito?
So, one of my expectation, of course, is to learn again new knowledge from Jfinex. Kasi from previous forums na ginaganap. So, I always got new learnings and knowledge na very helpful sa akin as a finance student.
What made you interested to attend this forum?
What made us interested to attend this forum is that we believe this is one of the platforms or this to enhance our finance and leadership skills as well.
The word governance really comprises all the processes, all the systems in the stewardship of an organization. So yung Jfinex, whether publicly listed corporations, NGOs, lahat yan ay may system of processes or governance. And how these are led or managed will all determine its governance practices.
Jfinex is the committee that communicates directly to the universities and to the students. That night, 2/3 were spent reminiscing the past. How the organization was formed, the milestones, how all the challenges were overcome. And then guess what? Where did the 1/3 go? The 1/3 was spent dimmingly looking happily at what Jfinex will be 50 years from now. And as we close our eyes, we saw you, Jfinex. You are the future of Jfinex. The reason why we have launched this forum, the fifth leg will concentrate on the integrity, governance, compliance, and ethics. Why? We have only two reasons. The first reason is we want you to become CEO later. CEO means, you know what CEO means? CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer and not Chief Investment Officer. You don't want to be active in your own company, okay? Right? Or there is another option where you can take what you can take. You can be CFO, Chief Finance Officer, not you do not want to be Chief Fraud Officer. Okay, so those are the two reasons why we want you to attend these sessions on integrity, compliance, governance, and ethics.
Dear God, we offer everything to you during the seminar. May we ask for your blessings and divine providence that activities set for this undertaking would be successful and effective.
May we be living witnesses of your genuine love through the implementation of the knowledge acquired through this activity.
The challenge for you in order for you to become a leader in your organization is how do you interact with different organizations, generational mantras. But there is a shift in the value system nowadays. We call this the platinum rule. No? Treat others as they would like to be treated. That is the platinum rule right now. As you govern people, you have to have the right set of ethical and moral standards.
What's the secret behind our success? And there's no secret actually. It's because we practice good corporate governance. At ARI, we do this because it's the right thing to do. This is how we run our organization. It makes business sense, of course. Sometimes people accuse us of complying with the rules, complying with all the regulatory requirements because they are saying we just want to win awards. It's not true. because corporate governance for us makes business sense and it creates value and gives us competitive advantage. Now, let's revisit again the concept of corporate governance. I don't know if you can read this, but I'd like to tell you this. My boss and mentor at Ayala Land and even at way back in SG, Mr. G. Ismael, who used to be a CFO of the year, talked about corporate governance as like running a household. So how your parents run and manage your family so that the kids will grow up and be successful. Mr. Shaw, another CFO of the year awardee, I lifted this from the book that was given to you. It's about taking care of your employees, of your other stakeholders, especially the customers. And our esteemed Ms. Duesa actually shares her thoughts on good corporate governance as being value-centric towards corporate governance. So she talks about values that set the tone, how we discharge our duties, how we run our organization. So that leads me to my slide on Ayala Land values. We relaunched these values. Maybe in your school has also values, but in Ali we call it DVEM. I will not give you a quiz, but DVEM stands for L means leadership, I means integrity, it's very important, V means vision, E is excellence, and then, which was actually the most, for me, is the very important one, we recently added that to our corporate values called Malasakit.
We are going to give away this book called Pillars of Governance, written by former Secretary Sonny Coloma. Good morning! How are you today? I'd like to introduce my co-host today. Her name is Ms. Maika Del Carmen. She's the pretty daughter of our chairperson, Ms. Dada Del Carmen. Round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone.
As simple as that, yung bibili lang ng supplies, ng mga items, is it really chargeable to the organization or personal kung expenses to? So meaning, if you don't think anything what that is good or bad, you just do it. But when you see the word ethics, it comes to mind, am I doing the right thing or not?
In other words, when we talk of finance, it is not self-interest at all. But it must be in the context of an honest accountability of the handling of the funds and resources of a company, an organization, and even of your family, and even of your personal wealth, for the greater good. It always is. It always must be. There must be a temperance on the exercise of power by one person or one branch or one sector of society, so that the abuses will not be such as will destroy the dignity of individuals. But it is you, the citizen, and especially the youth, who can speak out. Speak out in favor of checks and balances. Speak out in favor of a strong judiciary that will ensure that your hopes are kept alive for a future that is stable.
This one is very interesting from a Jeremy Ruth Melgar. In giving judgment, ma'am, do you consider the choice of the majority, even if it is against your will?
No. Yung conscience mo lang talaga ang dapat mo standard. Don't listen to anything else. Kaya nga marami akong dissents, di ba? So, nasa minority ako kasi hindi ako naniniwala doon sa mga ibang issues na ang majority pinaniniwalaan. It's not public opinion. Remember, for a judge, one person whose rights are trampled, that is the majority of one. In other words, in a democracy, a fully functioning democracy, where an individual's rights are being trampled in the Bill of Rights, that individual is the majority. Siya ang dapat kampihan ng korte.
How is it to be the first woman to head the judiciary?
Ay, malaking responsibilidad yan. I can honestly say to you, the burden is double. But the good thing about it is, nung mas naging mahirap na ang aking responsibilities, my husband assumed more of it. But I want to announce to you that yesterday, the JBC voted for the one vacancy in the Court of Appeals. Now, that's a very high position already. And you know what? We shortlisted by voting. So many candidates, 7 made it. All 7 are women.
Salamat. Thank you. Thank you for winners. Wow. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I have a topic. It's very interesting. It's about ethics in social media. And I think the reason why it's interesting is because ethics is about doing something good when no one's actually watching. And more often than not, when we do our laptop, our computer, or in our phones, it's always just us. So what is social media? It's a pretty long Wikipedia explanation. But to me, it's just about digital or online communication. And you know naman the meaning of communication, it's really the intention to understand each other. We're trying to communicate because we want to understand. But I will try to prove to you that probably it's not just communication. I think to some degree it's evolved to become just influencing people. Okay, so as a profession, I'm actually a risk manager. Yun talagang day job ko. I kind of sing on the side, but my day job is being a risk manager. And as a risk manager, I kind of followed social media. Because social media impacts companies. In fact, my advice for companies is, if you don't have a social media strategy, may problema ka. So, in the companies I advise, I would always say, you hire a social media manager that can monitor. But I think the best rule is the golden rule. May platinum rule na, but the golden rule, if you don't want to be treated like that, don't treat people like that.
Is it really possible? We all wanted to be successful, right? But can we actually achieve success and maintain success and still maintain our integrity? See? Now, never, ever, ever steal the paper clip. Okay? Most of the frauds that we have encountered start small. Sometimes they start in error. A few hundreds of pesos that went missing. Ay, napunta sa pocket ko, himala. Mga ganun lang. But they graduate into millions of pesos. And then they don't stop.
I would like to again thank our host university, palakpakan natin ang FEU. Then please face the person to your right, tap name back and say thank you for coming today. So we'd like to thank all the schools that have attended our fifth leg. So, I'd also like to thank yung people that helped organize help organize today's event. So obviously from our Jfinex Secretariat and then the employees from FBI. So thank you. So how I apply good corporate governance is the standard that I live by is yung binanggit na ng dalawang speakers kanina, yung newspaper rule. Ano yung newspaper rule? If you're doing something, imagine mo that it will come out in the newspapers tomorrow. Pwedeng sa Inquirer, pwedeng sa Bulletin, pwedeng sa tabloid. And how would they react? So that for me is my number one rule and guiding principle when I apply good corporate governance. In whatever I do, be it at work or personal life, yun yung guiding principle, and that's what I live by, stand by as my moral compass. So we should all have something similar, and we need to reflect internally on what it is that we want to live by as a guiding principle in applying governance, integrity, ethics, and compliance. So with that, I hope marami kayo natutunan today. Thank you again for your attention.